And again, this will begin to color with new colors, bright colors, joyful colors, peaceful colors, all the experiences that follow, which constitute, again, increased miracle readiness, increased undefendedness against the sudden influx of a sudden shift of perception. What He, your right mind, the Holy Spirit, enables you to do is clearly not of this world, for miracles violate every law of reality as this world judges it. Every law of time and space, of magnitude and mass, of prediction and control is transcended. How else could there be an instantaneous healing, let's say, of a broken bone? And don't think that such a thing hasn't already happened multiple times, many times. What do you think has happened when you've been in a traffic situation that there was no way through and you came through and there was no impact of any kind? What do you think it is that happens when something you have been conditioned to experience great fear about occurred and you didn't experience the fear and there was no suffering from it? Well, every law of time and space, of magnitude and mass, of prediction and control has been transcended. In the littlest miracle, they are transcended because they aren't what governs. The miracle is what governs them. Every law of time and space, of magnitude and mass, of prediction and control is transcended. We'll get to the end of the sentence. This is what you have to look forward to. This is what you should be standing in expectation of in every moment you're experiencing. No, but you're just so damn sure that it takes a certain amount of time to get to work, and you're going to be late, and in all likelihood all of the lights will be red that you will run into, delaying you even further, and blah, 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 on you go. And so you're looking at the kingdom of heaven with the potential of experiencing it with the Holy Spirit, in which every law of time and space, of magnitude and mass, of prediction and control can be transcended. And you're stuck with what you are confident is true. Well, stop being so confident, so that your trip to work in the morning can be miraculous, and so that your perspective and perception of life might be transformed significantly. Because if that isn't what all of this is about, then go home and throw this book in the fireplace and make do with what you have, and stop complaining about what you have. Accept it, and find happiness to the best of your ability. But if you're going to be reading these things, and if you're going to be claiming to be actually interested in waking up, then start expecting. The laws of time and space, of magnitude and mass, of prediction and control to be transcended. Start expecting to see matter behave like spirit, because you're willing to actually consider the possibility that it never was matter, that it always has been spirit, and that it is always at, I'm going to say, the mercy of the beneficent movement of God called creation. When you wake up tomorrow morning, you wake up to the opportunity to see the kingdom of heaven, because it's the kingdom of heaven you're waking up in. Let this sink in. Let this register with you, so that a truly genuine curiosity begins to come into play. Why? Because a truly genuine curiosity constitutes miracle readiness and miracle-mindedness, and releases you from every confidence you have employed that this or that situation or circumstance is not amenable to a miracle. Including the cancer you seem to be experiencing, including the headache you seem to be experiencing, including the awful relationship that you have with your brother or sister because of uncontrollable jealousy. Let miracle readiness, let miracle mindedness be available to every single experience that presents itself to you during the day. Else all you will experience will be what you expect to happen, and you will remain bound by your expectation until you abandon it. Again, it's that simple. That is the crux of the matter. Now we'll finish the sentence. Every law of time and space, of magnitude and mass, these are all the laws of physics, of prediction and control is transcended, for what the Holy Spirit enables you to do is clearly beyond all of them. Perceiving His results, you will understand where He must be, and finally know what He is. That's the wonder of it. Perceiving His results, you will understand where He must be. Well, where must He be? Right there in you. Because it's your right mind. And you will finally know what He is. You in your right mind. Perceiving His results. What would that mean? Perceiving or experiencing the miracle that you realize you played a part in, even though you were not behaving as an orphan. Even though you were not behaving with imagined authority. Even though you were behaving without utilizing reason and logic impeccably. That's how you come back into singularity. That's how you come back into clarity. That's how you come back into sanity. Now, you cannot see the Holy Spirit, but you can see His manifestations. And unless you do, you will not realize He is there. Well, what's a manifestation of the Holy Spirit? It's a blessing that you are blessed with, that you weren't personally responsible for, and apparently no other ego was responsible for it either. One of those blessings that make you think, there must be a God. There must be something in charge here beside me. And there must be something in charge here besides some other ego. You cannot see the Holy Spirit, but you can see His manifestations. And unless you do, you will not realize He is there. Miracles are His witnesses and speak for His presence. Miracles are the witnesses of your right mind and speak for the presence, the capital P presence of your right mind. And you should be having more and more of these experiences every day and every week. Oh yeah, should. Oh yeah, you should be having. And what's wrong with you for not having them? Bullshit. You should be having it because it's your birthright to be having it. It doesn't matter why you aren't having it. It matters that it's your birthright to be having it. It matters that it's the gift of God to you, that no one and no thing can actually take away. And so it's actually present with you. It's actually functional in you. And you've just been so busy with your little imaginations that it has been escaping your attention. You should be experiencing them more and more frequently, because every situation is primed for the event of a miracle registering with you. What you cannot see becomes real to you only through the witnesses who speak for it. An undeserved blessing speaks for something. A real blessing is one that you feel truly blessed by, a little bit in awe of. It's an out-of-the-ordinary experience that doesn't escape your attention and automatically points you in the direction of asking, where did that come from? Which automatically points you in the direction of some ultimate power or presence, because the experience of it is so out of the ordinary. And all of you have these experiences, even if they're very small. What you cannot see becomes real to you only through the witnesses who speak for it, for you can be aware of what you cannot see, and it can become compellingly real to you as its presence becomes manifest through you. How many of you have been with a friend or an acquaintance who is in the middle of a problem and you had no idea what the answer was, and you were willing just to be present with that person without judgment? Vulnerable, genuine, and simply there with them, for them. And things came out of your mouth that afterward you say, where did that come from? And what comes out of your mouth causes the friend or the acquaintance afterwards to say, I don't know what came over you, but everything you said was absolutely perfect for me, and I'm free of the distress that I was experiencing. Thank you. And you sit there and you say, thank you for what? Ask me to do it again and I couldn't possibly do it because I don't know what I did. Well, that's the orphan talking. That's the one who thinks he has no connection with a source. No, from that standpoint, you don't know what happened. And you know what? From the standpoint of the Holy Spirit, which is nothing more than your right mind, you don't know what happened either in this sense. What happened wasn't reasoned out. What happened wasn't calculated. What happened involved no control. All of the things which you as an orphan value because they are what cause you to seem to have value and valid presence. But the experience that occurred, that you couldn't duplicate if you wanted to, and which blessed your brother or your acquaintance, is one that you can count on happening again and again and again when you get out of the way, as you discover you had gotten out of the way at the time. And so there is a confidence that begins to accompany you. A confidence that there is a God, that there is something greater than this little tiny orphan mentality that you thought you were, which knows how to be perfectly in any given situation a way of being that blesses the one you're with and blesses you. And how does it bless you most? It blesses you most by uncovering the fact that the apparent need to be personally competent begins to dissolve. What a relief. What a relief to discover that it never was a part of the true experience of being for you in your own right to be competent and to have to be competent in order to be respectable and valid. If you stop and think about it, you'll discover just how much fear you experience as a result of this apparently absolute need for you to be competent in your own right, all by yourself, meaning without any underlying justification for it. A competence that comes from you lifting yourself up by your bootstraps. You say, it's a wonderful picture. The only thing that's going to give you a feeling of security and confidence is if you're standing on solid ground. But no, the orphan in you says, I've got to lift myself up by my own bootstraps. You know, saying, I have to become ungrounded. I got to lift myself up. Off of what? The ground. up, up, and away from the immovable, infinite presence of you. That is what God is being right there where you are. Because you're not an orphan. Here we come to talk about actions again. The capacity to act. Do the Holy Spirit's work. Not the orphan's work. Stop doing the orphan's work. Stop playing the orphan role. And stop trying to get charge of the orphanage. Do the Holy Spirit's work. For you share in His function. That sentence was written to orphans who might be able to hear that there is no orphanage and there's no orphanhood. You don't really share in the Holy Spirit's function. The Holy Spirit is nothing more than your right mind. So the Holy Spirit's function is your real function. But, we don't have to blast you with it right off the bat. And so, gently it is said, you share in His function. Well, that's a pablum. Meat and potatoes is. His function is your function. And it's not shared at all. And it's time for you to own up to it. Claim it. And be that way. As your function in heaven, meaning in reality, is creation, so your function on earth is healing. As your function in heaven is creation, so your function in the orphanage is healing. God shares His function with you in heaven, and the Holy Spirit shares His with you on earth. Until you stop dallying with the ego, the Holy Spirit, which is nothing more than your right mind, is held in trust for you. And it seems to be something different from the orphan you think you are. It isn't. But it seems to be. And as long as you think you're an orphan, I have to talk to you in the language that you're familiar with. And of course, when I'm talking to you in that language, I'm undoing the language, and I'm undoing the commitment you have to the language, and I'm challenging the confidences you have in the way you're looking at things. But until you let the Holy Spirit, which is your right mind, in, and don't hold yourself separate from it, and let the unification or singularity occur, then you're going to have to behave as better orphans. You are going to have to behave as though you are orphans graduating from orphanhood, coming back into your right mind. And so this process, as long as you spread it out on a timeline, will involve your engaging in healing. What? Correction. Correction of illusion. The willing abandonment on your part of misunderstandings that you've thought were real and true. the disciplined willingness to give your attention to the truth instead of the illusion. Period. Your function in heaven is creation. Well, even if you think you're in an orphanage, you're still in the kingdom of heaven. And you're still the Christ, and so your function is still creation. Until you let go of the confidence you have that you're an orphan, that divine behavior, that function of creation, is going to consistently and increasingly be manifest as evidences of healing in the world as you're perceiving it. Because that's the way the scales begin to fall from your eyes, the scales which color and distort your perception of the kingdom of heaven that you're looking at all the time. And so, this is the sense of the sentence that says, as your function in heaven is creation, so your function on earth is healing. It isn't that you're on the earth and you have a function while you're on the earth. It's that as long as you're defining the kingdom of heaven as the world and universe, a physical entity, you are going to be constantly engaged in having your perceptions healed. And therefore, healing is going to be the name of the game for you and your brothers. Because whatever healing you allow within yourself is going to be reflected in the way you treat your brothers, which is going to inspire your brothers and sisters to let that in themselves. Because they're going to have a new model. They're going to have new evidences of something invisible to them. Their divinity. God shares his function with you in heaven, and the Holy Spirit shares his with you on earth. Now, as long as you believe you have two functions, so long will you need correction. You hear that word correction? We hear that word correction over and over and over again. Correction means the undoing of something false. It means change. Spiritual awakening and bliss can be conceived of as something which you can experience without change actually occurring. And supposedly, you can be in your bliss while your body is ravaged by cancer, and you won't be bothered a bit. Bullshit. Crap. And all of the other words that could be used, which I won't make Paul use. But you can use those words, and he can use it in his mind. But call it for what it is. Something that doesn't deserve your recognition or honor. Correction. It is the most wonderful word in this book. Why talk about correction if correction isn't possible?